beautiful people? This is Pretty Girl Love Trap content.
Hello, everybody. I know there's still people out there that haven't subscribed. So, subscribe. You heard me. Subscribe to Auntie's channel, Pretty Girl Love Travel Content.
What's up, beautiful people? How are you guys doing today? It is I, Pretty Girl Love Shop Content, and we are gathered here today on this lovely Sunday evening to discuss the BMF documentary, Blowing Money Fast, episode 1. Okay, so let's see who was up in here first. Okay, and we have Daria. Hey, what's up, Daria? Boo. Good evening. Hey, James Kelly. What's up? Did y'all watch the part 1? Or should I say episode 1 of the documentary? Let me know your thoughts. And I'm not going to keep y'all long. I'm just trying to be maybe 20, 25 minutes tops. The episode was 27 minutes long, which was perfect because I'm like, an hour, that's a lot sometimes. But since it's broken up in different, parts, at least pick 6 parts, we can kind of take our time, like a pot of greens, you know what I'm saying? Like, take our time with all this information, okay? But at the end of the day, we are, just here trying to learn as much information as we can. Now, we already know there's been 11 documentaries about BMF, okay? Stemming from the early, like mid 2000s. So I am definitely interested on what's going to be different about this one. Based on the first episode, we see that a lot of the, first account people are, being interviewed. We have, Mama Flannery, okay. We have Lucille, we have Nicole, their sister. We have, of course, at least Meech. I'm not sure if Terry's going to be involved, but we have Meech giving his account from prison. Much like, the Supreme documentary that I covered. If you haven't watched that, please check that out. I did that a few months ago, me and Moochie. And yeah, we have a couple people that was a part of the 50 Boys. And a lot of people that's based on the actual show. But we have some first accounts, we have some reenactments, what I'm saying? We have photographs, we have, just a lot of the storytelling. So, in my head, I think the thing that's going to set this apart from the other documentaries is the fact that this is coming from Meech and Terry, or at least Meech's mouth. I'm not 100% sure if he's been a part of any other documentary. But if you an 80s baby like mine, like me, I've, heard a lot of stories. I kind of was growing up in the era where they blew up when they moved to Atlanta. They're part of our culture, actually. You know what I'm saying? They pretty much set a tone for how to run a drug entrepreneur, situation. Like, they really were that guys. Like, these are the people that, your local corner boys strive to be at the end of the day, except for the getting caught part, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they are a part of American history, nonetheless. And I think also, since the actual show BMF is on Stars as well, I think this allows the younger generation to kind of view and learn more of the background. And I think this is smart as well because it kind of shows the differences between the shows and real life. We want to make sure, y'all understand we are dramatizing some of the events in the actual show. And once this series ends, this docuseries has several parts, then BMF season 2 starts. So this is definitely a great strategic move. I know 50 Cent pretty much stated in an interview with the Breakfast Club that this was probably supposed to be released a little earlier, but when, the gap with Stars that we had previously, it kind of, change some things. But let me see who's all up in here. Hey, Samira Boo, how are you? Hey, OT, yes, OT from Detroit. So I'm just saying, and Samira. So yes, please chime in because I know y'all really got a lot better, experience of this whole situation with BMF, how it impacted your city. So I definitely would appreciate any commentary that you guys have regarding, I'm saying, this series. But at the end of the day, I'm definitely interested in learning more about them. Of course, I've watched a lot of the documentaries, but I'm hoping they can offer a little more of an in-depth um, account. There's a couple of details I did learn for the first time, which was actually exciting because who wants to watch the same information, the same pictures, the same stories? Like, come on, you got to give us something a little different. Samara said, I know about them from being from the Dean. We have so many. I'm sure. And then they mentioned, that, you had Maserati Rick, which I'm familiar with, White Boy Rick. Okay. We love the Ricks in Detroit, apparently. Okay. There was also, I believe, the young, don't quote me, hold on, the Young Boys Incorporated. There was also the Curry brothers. So, they learned a lot from a lot of the entrepreneurs in, the Detroit area. And they actually specifically, reenacted or recounted times where they would just be parked across Maserati Rick's car wash and just learn to soak up the game. So I definitely love that type of information, because their American history, okay? But I'm not going to just touch over every little detail. They also start, of course, with Meech from prison, just kind of stating, why they got in the game in the first place. I mean, they was poor, they was on welfare, they had food stamps, they was using it at the gas stations, they had holes in their shoes, like they definitely was, living in poverty. So that was their motivation because, most drug dealers, they need a why, why are you doing this? And it was also interesting. Of course, we know about their family dynamic. They came from a God-fearing household, a two-parent dynamic. They also had a little sister, Nicole. And I just love that because sometimes I hate the myth of, oh, you're a drug dealer because you didn't have a father in the house. Just that that stereotypical, thought process, that the others always put on us. Okay. They had two parents in the household. It was just a struggle to make ends meet. And, the documentary explained and dug into the background of Detroit. Detroit was very much thriving. Okay. The Black people were doing their thing, but there was still a lot of police brutality. And that kind of stirred up a lot of resentment. And that pretty much caused the 1967 riot, if you will, of Detroit. I'm saying? It was more like a resistance and a response to the police brutality. And that pretty much changed Detroit forever. I'm saying? There was tons of arrests, a lot of burnt buildings. Like it was a lot. Enough to where the white people, they were like, check please. They were out, okay? And along with them came a lot, a lot of the automobile industry and a lot of the industries that, supported the automobile industry. If you don't know, Detroit is the motor city, okay? So when your main industry, your main focus leaves, you have to expect the inevitable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. We are deemed like the South, the kind of the baking capital of the country at this point. Even though, other, cities are known for banking. But if banking were to leave Charlotte, it would probably be an issue. Okay. Even though I'm repping Harlem till I die. Okay. Let's see what Samara is saying. It's still effed up in spots. Yeah, I'm sure. Like there are a lot of parts that are, not recovered from that. I mean, 1967, it was a long time, but it wasn't a long time. You know what I'm saying? Let's see here. Samara said, but now the white folks coming back slowly but surely. Exactly, because the property, the properties and the property value is low. And this is what happens, the ebbs and flows of economy. Once, they leave, the property value goes down because, they consider it down and decrease when us, the people with the melanin and whatnot, Black people are, inhabitants. So once it gets low, they typically have the control to increase it again. So, the whole theory of, buying low and selling high. You know what I'm saying? So I can imagine how they're coming back slowly but surely. And that's happening, or that's been happening in New York. And I remember, specifically when Bill Clinton moved his office on 125th Street, which is, a popular, location or street, I should say, in New York, in Harlem. I mean, about a 10-minute walk from where I'm from. But ever since then, I believe it was like 96. Ever since then, we started to see a change in Harlem. They started getting, more and more of the mainstream stores. I remember Old Navy was like the first store they got. And then Starbucks started coming. So it started changing. And of course, the mom and pop stores were decreasing. So it happens everywhere, but I'm definitely glad that they gave us the background, which serves as the, foundation of Meech and Terry's story. Okay. And so their family kind of moved to Detroit because their dad, Charles, got a job offer in, with Cadillac. And they kind of came at the tail end of the party of, the Black Renaissance, if you will. So they kind of caught, the bad in the deal because it really was still, a horrible situation, in poverty. And at the end of the day, it's hard out here in these streets, B. Hey, OT, yes, definitely gentrification. Yes, that's pretty much summing it up in one word what I was explaining. Hey, James Kelly, remember Nate Boonecraft? I actually don't. I'm not familiar with that name. I apologize, but if you want to, let me know. And I probably am familiar with the story, but not the name. So apologies to that. I'm saying I am definitely not one to, fake it till I make it. Okay. If I don't know a name or a situation, please educate me. Okay. But yeah, so we get more into the family dynamic. We have at the end of the day, the riot that occurred, and we have the mother, Lucille, and she's giving her account on the boys. It was a great family. And we have Charles, and Charles, he was a music lover, and I felt it, kind of ironic that he was so into music. He was bartering time in the studio for, work at the end of the day. And she was like, he wasn't bringing home a paycheck, but he was always working with his girlfriend, which was, music, what have you. But it's kind of interesting because I feel like from my experience and knowledge of BMF, music was low key the downfall, because I feel like when they started really getting big and getting billboards in Atlanta, and they had the whole Jeezy situation and a lot of other things that what happened. I think that kind of low key started, those eyes. Big Brother started watching, if you will. Okay. Let's see here. He was a killer and a snitch. Okay, James Kelly, Samara, hitman for YBI. Oh, okay. Samara said you just got through watching the documentary on him. Okay, I can't with you, James. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this, okay? y'all over there cracking the jokes, all right? I cannot deal with y'all. I cannot. But Lucille, she mentioned like we had love because we are even saw it in the actual show. They was very passionate. They was always getting it in, but money was an issue. We already know finances is definitely one of the main reasons for a breakup. So they divorced after 19 years. And at the end of the day, that pretty much kind of struck a nerve in the household. And, Meech, and I would say Terry as well, they had to fill in those shoes. They had that, I'm the man of the house syndrome. And you could see Lucille, she was kind of breaking down a little bit during the interview because I'm sure she's experiencing that mom guilt. She was all in the church trying to be positive. So I could see she probably blamed herself a little bit on how they turned to the streets because, they was unable to make ends meet. And that's frustrating for a parent. You try to do good and do right, but at the end of the day, sometimes the devil prevails. Okay. But yes, here's a photo of Meech, Terry, and their little sister Nicole. they were very close. She said, Terry was always going behind his brother. Whatever Meech did, Terry wanted to do. So that was definitely cute knowing that, they were very close. To my understanding, they're really not that close now, but I'm sure, and I hope we touch on how they are in terms of their real status of their relationship by the end of this documentary. OT said, I see why Terry was the favorite. They twins. I can't. Hey, Detroit, what's up? How are you? Another Detroit resident. So please chime in. I know you guys know all about these folks right here. Okay. So yes, they begin their life in the streets. Okay. And so they are introduced. My bad. Okay. To Edie Boyd. Okay. Edie Boyd is originally from Brooklyn, okay? Brooklyn stand up, all right? He said he moved to Detroit when he was 14. And yeah, he was a local drug dealer, and Meech approached him and pretty much was telling him, yo, I want to be down. He was on his brandy. He was like, I want to be down. He low-key gave him a little sales pitch, if you will. And he was like, all right, I'm gonna try you out, because at that point, Meech and Terry, they was just selling weed. They was, and Meech also stated, they were still green at the time. They wasn't really selling the big stuff, okay? But, ED pretty much schooled on fashion, on the game. They really had a low-key family environment. He said they would have Sunday dinners every Sunday. If they had beef, that's the time they would squash it. Like, it was definitely, good to know about the background of their organizations. We see there are a lot of drug organizations that kind of had that mantra. You know what I'm saying? They really modeled a lot of their practices, with family dynamics and like corporations as well. So I definitely appreciated that. Hey, Eric Iverson, what's up? You said the best part was when they talked about Leighton. Yes, we're going to get to that shortly, because I'm not trying to be here too long with you guys. I do have another live around 8-ish. Okay. So, they started hustling hard. Okay. They was hustling hard to the point where, they was over there 6:30 in the morning to 3 in the morning. Okay. They was putting in that work. And within 6 months of that grind, they ended up paying, the house off, getting the bills cut off, caught up, helping moms. And moms was really not down for it. But at that time, she really didn't have a choice. I could tell she was real hesitant. But when the money's standing right there and you trying to protect your family, I mean, you tend to, turn the blind eye, if you will. But she mentioned like they hid a lot of things from her. But I know at some point as a parent, you got to like be like, what's going on here? Okay. Even though this show was dramatizing, a lot of the, some of the details. But if they was really rolling around with Benzes and gold chains, I'm just saying, you're not getting it at the Wendy's, if you will. It seems like, let me know, the Detroit people, let me know, was Wendy's really popping like that? Because they really stress Wendy's in the BMF series, okay? Was that the supreme over McDonald's? Let a sister know. Let a sister know, okay? And what was so special about ED, he had that Mexican plug to the point where the prices were right, okay? And he was selling, 8 balls for $50. So that's how he came up with the name. And he, created the 50 Boys, if you will. There was actually another person, Derek, who was, it was pretty much 350 Boys. Derek, Meech, and Terry. They were pretty much the 50 Boys. And Derek, I mean, from my understanding and from my view, he took on more so like the B. Mickey character, and ED seems to be, deemed after Pat, if you will. I would say loosely based, because I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, okay? Let's see here. Samara, you said for me, no. Detroit, you said, yeah, Wendy's was popping. I ain't gonna lie, when I was in high school, Wendy's, I'm not saying they're horrible now. I really don't eat fast food like that unless it's almighty Chick-fil-A. Okay, but Wendy's was that thing back then, the chicken sandwich of it all. For real, for real. Samara said those burgers are good though. I don't even think I ever had a Wendy's burger. That's the crazy part. I always gravitated towards the chicken sandwich. Okay. But yes, at the end of the day, the 50 Boys was popping, the prices was popping. So they was pretty much taking over, you know what I'm saying? And they say, when success comes, there was that song. What's that song? Oh yeah, Money, Power, and Respect. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you have a hater that comes along, okay? And they stated the first few chapters of Meech and Terry's reign, if you will, there was a hater, okay? And his name was Leighton Smith, okay? He terrorized everybody, okay? He terrorized everybody. And of course, from our understanding, Lamar, you can't stop the rain. He seems to be, coined after Leighton, okay? And Leighton, he seemed like he was that guy. Everybody was scared, but they always made it, known in the documentary that Meech wasn't scared. He wasn't intimidated at all. And that probably was an issue for Leighton, okay? And so long story short, Leighton was out to get them because they was taking over, okay? And they recanted one incident when Leighton was following Meech, and he was with his homeboy. And he said, I'm tired. He was also low-key all my life I had to fight. So he was tired. So they had a situation where it's low-key road rage, where Leighton rammed back a Meech car multiple times. They kind of had a situation where the vehicle stopped. Leighton had a whole, machine gun situation. And he just pretty much a Uzi. And he just sped off. So yeah, it seems like, I'm saying, it's going to be a problem. From my understanding, I believe this is the guy who actually ends up shooting Meech allegedly. Okay, I'm gonna say allegedly. And I'm sure we'll get to that a little later in terms of the facts and the details. Because I've seen multiple documentaries, but I ain't gonna hold y'all. It's been years since I've seen any of them. So I'm low-key getting a refresher myself. Okay. Let's see here. James Kelly said Lamar is my middle name. It is. All right. Now, are you crazy like him? Let a sister know, okay? Let a sister know. And while y'all in here, please make sure you are doing your girl all of the favors and just make sure you're liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting. And yes, support me, okay? What's not to support? All right. We family up in here, okay? But yes, and at the end of the day, they pretty much stated that incident with Leighton pretty much sparked a war, and it pretty much changed the dynamic of the whole situation with the 50 Boys, and I want to say Lamar, but his name is Leighton, okay? And then pretty much the docu-series episode 1 ended right after that. They gotta put us all in a cliffhanger, if you will. I'm like, y'all playing with us, but it's okay. We got several more parts to kind of dig into. But yes, definitely. Detroit said, yes, that's true, because he thought Big Meech had something to do with his cousin getting killed. Okay. Thank you for confirming, Detroit. I was 90% sure, but if I'm not 100% sure, I don't like to confirm. But I appreciate you. My Detroit, my resident Detroit people. I appreciate y'all. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the first episode. It pretty much gave us the origin of Detroit and how Detroit was at that time when Meech and Terry moved. They gave us the family background, dynamic, and the beginning of their life in the streets. So I definitely think it was a pretty good episode. Of course, I want to know a little more that I haven't learned. There was a few facts that I did learn. I didn't realize Meech stated they earned their first million at 15 and 17. I'm just saying, $1 million now in my 30s is a lot. And this is 2000 of the 22. So you talking about in the mid 80s, $1 million, 15 and 17? Like, that's ridiculous. That is definitely low-key commendable, even though we talk about selling drugs. Even though we talk about the drugs and whatnot, that's some ambition and some hustle for that ass. I'm just saying, at the end of the day. Detroit had the furs on lock. Yes, Detroit definitely had the furs on lock. So I'm definitely, loving all of the photos. And even though I saw most of the photos previously, and even BMF or just other documentaries, but I love seeing the photos with the chains and the furs and what have you. So definitely enjoying with it, what they going to have us, learning. I know it's recorded online, 6 parts. So it's definitely between 6 and 8 parts. So please rock with me. I'm probably going to stick around this time, 7 p.m. on Sundays. But that's why you got to make sure your notification bells are on, just in case I have an update. I definitely keep you guys updated in my community tab. Let's see here. What Mo.J got talking about? You said getting money. That's what we used to do back in the day. All right, Mo Dot. What was that account looking like? Well, we wasn't really putting money in accounts like that. But you know what I mean. What was that mattress looking like back then, Mo Dot? Let a sister know. Hey, James, the Gators too. Detroit says she's a Millie at 16. I'm saying, can you imagine a Millie at 16? Like when I was 16, if I had a couple hundred, I was up. I was up. Okay, take me to the nearest store, get my nails done, my hair done. I was good. Okay, so that's crazy. And the fact that their reign lasted so long, that's why I'm so intrigued. You know what I'm saying? They went decades making all this money. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. Detroit said Detroit New York fashion game is top tier. I'm just saying, if I do say so myself, okay. Your girl loved the fashion and whatnot. Hey, Samara, you said the Stacey Adams facts. Yes, Stacey Adams was definitely that brand, okay? That brand. I don't know why I just thought about Baby Boy. I know that's random. Mo.J said that Jordan box might have 7,500 at one time. You ain't had no million. I'm just saying that's still up, Mo.J. 7,500. That's definitely still fire, okay? But yes, y'all, that was pretty much, just the gist of episode 1. I didn't want to keep y'all too much longer. But please catch me on that Rewind That with Miss K's channel at 8:05. I believe she is shortly, if she's not live now, she's about to go live because I think she's doing something a little different where she's gonna start recapping the finale of Raising Kanan a little early. And then we're going to just jump in after. So please check her out and please check us out, and discuss Raising Kanan a little more. Please make sure you're doing all of the things. And if you want to give a rating of episode 1 of the BMF documentary, let me know based on, how they, produce the whole situation. If you want to provide a rating in the comments, please do. If I had to, I'll probably give it a B. Because mainly, honestly, I'm a documentary girl, so I watch a lot of documentaries. I didn't learn too much, but I think this is really helpful, more so for the new generation and the people that's not really familiar with the story that is, watching the BMF series, because it kind of goes hand in hand, but you're able to see the differences and the similarities. And another thing that I learned that was probably a little different in the show, it seems as though the divorce between the parents may have happened a little earlier in real life versus the show. But I'm going to see, at what point in the show they actually divorce. So I'm interested in that dynamic. Hey, Moochie, what's up? How are you? Samir, you said B is a good starter. Don't forget about the Pele. Yes, Detroit. That's still up. I don't know what they're doing in Detroit, but in New York, they still rocking the Peles, okay? Yes, y'all. So please, if you're watching the replay, please make sure you enter your ranking based on my classification scale. If you are into Power, of course, I recap Power. We're discussing season 2, episode 10 on Wednesdays at 8:15 with the Trap Queen. Ghost is dead, and this is a fire episode because Kanan and Ghost go at it hand in hand. And yes, please come through next Sunday, October 30th, for Trap Holidays, okay? It's the Halloween edition. We're going to have some cute little segments, a little fun time celebrating Halloween because your girl is a holiday girl, okay? And make sure you're doing all the things. Make sure you're subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, notifications. Like I said, please make sure they're on, all right? But until next time, I appreciate all of you guys. And yeah, check me out for episode 2. Before I go, James Kelly, he had to say, what about that Karl Kani? For real. Karl Kani, I don't know if y'all was rocking the Sean John velour suits or whatnot. But yes, y'all, the fashions. So definitely, and I think I am going to do something with the fashion with Raising Canaan shortly. So please be on the look for that. But until next time, toodles.